Here this time we're going to go over the depth filter material that exists within Neos. The filter material types are somewhat unknown, so I actually wanted to start going over them. This is sort of a request from Curious, who was unaware that they existed, and when I started showing them to him in a conversation, he was amazed at the sort of visual effects that could be achieved with them, so I wanted to go over all of them. Depth is quite cool, so let's go over it first. Let's take a look. I'm going to over it into Smooth POV. Now, a filter is basically a material, which is a shader. Filter, material, and shader are basically going to be used interchangeably in this video. Just remember that a filter is a type of material which runs a shader, which affects the view that you see when you look through it. So to create a depth filter, what we're going to do is equip the material tooltip, because remember it's a material. We're going to open up the context menu here and go to Create New, Filters, Depth, and that will create the material. It'll start life as just a sort of white ball, which might be a bit confusing, which is why you might not have used it. Let's configure this to make things look a bit better. To do that, though, it's useful to create a viewing window that you can look at the depth material through. To do this, we're going to use a quad. To do that, I'm going to equip my developer tooltip here and go to Create New 3D Model Quad. Lost myself for a second there. Now we're going to apply that depth material to the quad, and that's bright. I apologize for the brightness here. And that's because we need to configure the material here. Let's take a look at the materials inspector here. Now you'll see a number of properties. I'm going to skip right the way down to clip. We'll go back to the others I promised a little bit, but first of all we're going to go ahead and check clip, and you'll start to see what things that look good. So what we're seeing here, and it isn't that good, we'll correct it in a moment. I want to explain what you're seeing first, is the things that are closer to the quad here are darker in color, and the things that are further away are lighter in color. What's happening here in shader land, so this isn't raycasts or colliders or anything like that, it's just shader data. Don't worry, it's quite efficient. It's looking at the distance that things are away and then coloring the output based on that. If we adjust these settings a little bit, so I'm going to change the clip end to something like 15, maybe 20 actually, 20, yeah, that's good. And I'm going to go ahead and change the clip start to say 0.5, maybe, there we go. You'll now see that we've got a better sort of overview of what's going on here. So you'll see here that I can see the walls, I can see the ceiling there of the archway that leads out to the balcony. I can also see the railing of the balcony. If I spin this round to the other side, we can see the wall ledge there that runs the back. Just its depth data. And anything such as avatars, etc., will appear in front of that as well. So if I just bring this a little bit closer and I put my hand in front of it, you'll see that I'm just black, and that's because I'm really close. If I was further away, so for example here, if I go ahead and use some camera trickery, I can go ahead and freeze the camera there, hop behind it, and then on the video here, you'll see the depth data of me. So if I come up closer, you'll see I get darker, and if I go away, I'll get a bit brighter. So if I run all the way out here, you'll see I'm gradually disappearing into the scene. All right, let's go back to Smooth POV here. So the depth filter could be useful for a number of things. It's a cool visual effect. You can also use it for what are called depth photos or depth videos. I'll cover that in a different video because I don't actually have any to hand, but I wanted to cover that this is a thing that you can play with. There are a couple of other properties I want to go over with. One of them is the multiply. This is how much the data is multiplied by to adjust the visuals. If I change this to 2, for example, things get brighter. If I change it to 0.5, you'll see that we get a bit more clarity. It's up to you really to play with these things and see what makes sense for your scene or your individual depth filter requirements. We can go ahead and here and change the offset as well. This will offset all of the values here. So if I change this to 1, you'll see we just get the white square again. If I change it to 0.5, you'll see everything's bright again. Not sure if it accepts negatives. Let's try it. It does. Now everything's black. Why do we do -1? Ooh, that's interesting. With -1, we just get what's really far away. Let's change the multiply back to 0. Ooh, maybe if we do 3. There we go. Now we're getting the opposite. Well, not the opposite, we're back to original. Sorry, I got confused there. Whatever. Anyway, that's the depth material for you. There are quite a lot of filters, so we'll go on to the next ones after this. But I just wanted to show it to you. It is the depth filter material. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.